Well, good morning, and that. Once again, it's noontime on a Wednesday, time for my weekly live stream. Let me just finish getting set up here. One or two more um, things to do, the usual stuff. Let's see, pop this out. We can go here. Good. Let's see. Don't need that anymore. Oop, wait a minute. Good. And hang on, one more thing. There we go. Okay. Where are we? We good? You can hear me? Things are working properly. That's good. Let's see. Big 12 here. Rise up. Oh, I haven't seen you in a while. Rise up. How you doing? Behave yourself, boy. 12, Big 12. I'll talk about anything you want. I just don't know a hell of a lot about the Big 12. But if you want to talk about the race between whoever and whoever, feel free to chime in with that subject. I mean, that's fine. Ken Spear is here with his usual greeting of checking in from Pittsburgh, home of voter shenanigans. Well, not as bad as Philly, I guess, but no, that's not fair, Ken. I shouldn't brag you about that. I mean, the process is ongoing, so I'm not going to really worry about that. But I greet you from the west coast of Florida, where I have a small hurricane parked off my doorstep. In case you haven't noticed. Also, interestingly enough, did you know that there's now another tropical system anyway. It's heading off towards Europe, but that's Tropical Storm Theta, which means that if I read this right, 2020 just set a record for the most number of named storms in one season. We've done it, folks. 2020 is officially the suckiest of the suckiest years on record, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, of all the BS that's happened this year, all the shenanigans, all the garbage, all the disasters, all the just everything. I mean, the cherry on top is I'm sorry, my neck is very sore today. We're almost halfway through the month of November. I mean, for most of the United States, it's fall now and things are cooling off. Not here in Florida. We're still going to be in the mid to upper 80s for the foreseeable future. I mean, I'm looking at 1 week out forecast, and we don't see highs in the 70s until getting towards Thanksgiving. So we're still tropical down here. So we definitely set the record. We've got the most number of named storms in a single season. I was, however, looking at the forecast for the track of now, it's either a barely level 1 hurricane or a high tropical storm, Eta, which is a storm I'm dealing with down here in Florida. And that track has been all over the place. If you look back at the history of this storm has literally gone west, and then you turned east, and then you turned west again, and then you turned north, and now it's slanting and is going to cut across the northern part of the state of Florida and pop out somewhere around Savannah into the Atlantic as a post-tropical depression. Now, why that's significant is because, of course, Florida has a home game this weekend against Arkansas. But it looks like, if you believe the National Hurricane Center, that the storm will be well out of Florida by then. So fortunately, I won't have to listen to Lou, my good friend Uncle Lou, erroneously bleat on yet again about another storm causing a cancellation of a game in Gainesville, Florida. If, with respect, if the man knew what he was talking about, he'd be dangerous. But he's a troll. He loves, well, he's not a troll, no. He's never a troll. But he likes to troll other people, especially Florida fans, about how a few years ago we canceled a game against LSU, which was eventually rescheduled, and eventually we won that game. And so we were not afraid to play LSU, like he keeps bleeding on about. If he knew about, because he lives in Augusta. Augusta doesn't get weather per se. I mean, Augusta is so far inland from everything that it's pretty well insulated from all the tropical issues and everything. If he knew that when a governor issues a state of emergency, for one thing, all the state patrol is now assigned to emergency duty, and that's security for the stadium. So is Alachua County Sheriff, so is Gainesville PD, so is University PD. So a lot of security has now gone to disaster issues. Also, one of the main evac routes out of Florida is I-75, which happens to run right through Gainesville, or just to the west of Gainesville. Sorry, Gainesville is a little east of the interstate. So if you have a major evac route north, you do not want it tied up with 90-odd thousand football fans streaming into Gainesville or streaming out of Gainesville. You want to leave those routes available for people leaving the state or leaving the hurricane zone. So obviously you would cancel a game if a storm appears to be approaching. Security issues, evac issues. You don't want 90-odd thousand people and more because of the tailgating concentrated in one area where a hurricane looks like it's going to come through. Now, the hurricane changed direction and nothing happened in Gainesville. Stipulate to that. Little bit of rain, little bit of wind. Thank God nothing bad happened. Perhaps he would have preferred if our governor had just ignored all the reports and said, we'll play a football game. We'll put 95,000 and more people and concentrate them in one place right in the middle of the storm track. We don't need to worry about security. We don't need to worry about emergency plans. We don't need to worry about evac routes. We don't need to worry about using cops to make sure everyone gets where they're heading to. Yeah, so like I said, if he knew what he was talking about, he'd be dangerous. But he's a shit stirrer. He's trolling me and my fellow Floridians, and that's fine. But I say all that to say that I'm grateful that this storm will be clear of Florida well before Saturday evening, and we can play some football. And we don't have to worry about DeSantis, our governor, canceling the game and then nothing happening and Lou having further fodder for blathering on about a subject he doesn't really understand. And that's okay, Lou. I still love you, still respect you, still support you, but please leave the hurricane details to the people who understand them. And my camera's gone fuzzy, so if you'll excuse me for just a minute while I go through my normal camera unfuzzying routine and turn the camera to another camera, which is blank, and then turn it back, and that should clear it up. Yes, it does. Now, while I was blathering on about that, let me see where we were in the comments. Well, let's see. Big 12, couple of hashtags firing Herman. I believe that's the head coach of Texas. So, okay, if you want to fire your head coach, that's fine. The StreamYard link is not posted yet, sir. I'll do that later. He's also saying I-35 runs through Austin, which is fine. Steve Pearson just showed up. How you doing, sir? I appreciate that. Let's see. J-Dub is here. And he says I-35 runs through Des Moines, too. So that's good. Greetings to you, Matthew Azaprod. Parad. Azaparad? Okay. I haven't seen that name before, so welcome. And Big 12 wanted me to share my opinions on firing Grantham. Well, for those of you who don't know, I've been on the fire Grantham. Yeah, I've been beating that drum since October 10th when Florida was beaten by a team that they should have beaten. I mean, if they had played even a modicum of defense, they should have beaten Texas A&M. Texas A&M should not have beaten Florida. Kellen Mond should not have looked like an all-star playing against the University of Florida, but because Grantham doesn't really appear to know what he's doing, he did. Now, my opinion of Grantham since that game was, of course, very low. On the main event live stream show that I co-host with ACP Carter and Tiger Cat, and up until recently, Marcus Aurelius. I don't know where Marcus is. I understand he's doing okay, but he's dealing with some personal issues or something like that. And Marcus, if you are watching this now or later, God bless you, sir. I hope you're doing okay. And come back soon if you can. But people who watch the main event will know that I picked Missouri to beat Florida. I was wrong. And I picked Georgia to beat Florida. I was wrong. I said on that show, and I meant it, and I stayed with it, that I would not pick Florida to win games while Grantham was still the defensive coordinator. I stuck with that until I was asked by Tiger Cat to please stop with the hashtag Fire Grantham after every single comment I made on all the live streams I participated in, and had the hashtag Fire Grantham down here on my live stream, which you'll notice is gone now. So I made a promise to her and to Slim Shady Kane. Shout out to Slim Shady Kane. Let me fix that. My promise was that if Florida somehow managed to pull off a miracle and beat Georgia, that I would A, stop with the hashtag, B, acknowledge that I was wrong, and C, and this was a special request from Slim Shady, make a video to eat some crow. Now, I've done all three things. I've stopped with the hashtag. You may have noticed in streams that I participate in, I'm not doing that anymore. I've also admitted I was wrong in multiple places, including the night before today on Uncle Lou's After Dark call-in show. I called in and I said to the 250 odd people that were watching that I was wrong, and I admit it. And I also made a video. If you want to go into my video list and find it, it's there. It's about 10, 15 minutes long. Explaining myself, admitting my mistake, and apologizing. Now, what do I think of Grantham right now? Snapshot in time. I still think he is a overweight, overblown, overrated piece of dreck. That would be crap in Yiddish. I don't think he's a very good defensive coordinator. I think Florida could do better. Has he done better in the last two games he's coached? Yeah. Florida's defense has played better. Does Florida's defense still need a lot more work? Yes, absolutely. They have 4 or 5 more games, depending on if we play LSU on the 12th of December or not. 4 or 5 more games to continue to improve, refine, and fix things. And if we win out, obviously, we're going to the SEC championship to play Alabama. And if our defense isn't tuned up a hell of a lot more than they are now, and they're not doing bad right now, but they have much work to do, Alabama's going to beat us. Now, I think Alabama-Florida would be a good game. Both are really good offenses. I, as a Florida fan, would definitely give the running game edge to Bama. I think our passing attack stacks up to Alabama's very nicely. The defensive edge is Alabama's, and I think we have a better kicking game. So I think a Florida-Alabama SEC championship is not going to be a repeat of 15. It's not going to be a repeat of 16. It's going to be a good game. How good a game depends on if Grantham can pull his finger out of his lard ass and figure out how to coach this team up and get them playing decent defense and turning the ball over and making the Alabama quarterback make mistakes. Because that's the only way we win. So would I like to see Grantham replaced? Yes. Would I like to see Charlie Strong hired back, bring him home, and give him free reign over the defense? Absolutely. God, my neck hurts. Do I see that happening? Probably not. So, it's the old saying, you go to war with what you got, right? So we got to go to war for the next 5 or 6 weeks with what we got. And what we got is a defensive coordinator who I don't think is particularly good. But as the kids say, it is what it is. I hope that answers your question, 12. Probably doesn't. Let's see. Ken Spear is wearing his Aquaterra. Oh, very nice. I am wearing my for my first watch of the day, I am wearing my G-Shock Square, my Tron. It's the only G-Shock Square I own. And the only reason I own it is because of that laser etched grid pattern, that Tron type grid pattern in the watch. I really like it. And, it's a really good beater watch, daily wear. And on a day like today, where it is constantly raining and I had to go out a couple of times and do things, really good watch to wear in the rain. Gator Zone is here. That's good. How are you? Jeff Webb says play Iron Bowl Saturday. Are you playing Auburn this weekend? I didn't think so. Okay. Well, J-Dub likes cold Milky Way minis. That's good. Gator Zone, I agree absolutely. Fire Mike White. I think Mike White is he's hit his ceiling. He is not going to get any better. Mike White, for those of you who don't know, is the basketball coach for the University of Florida. He ain't very good. And he's not really a very good recruiter, in my opinion. I think he's reached his ceiling, and I think he's reached his expiration date. I think we need to get rid of him. But not time for basketball right now. Big 12 asks a good question. Who is the best team in the ACC? Is it Notre Dame? I don't think so. I think if you play that same game with Sunshine as quarterback instead of Ukulele, Clemson wins that game. I think Clemson is the more complete team. I think Clemson would have beaten Notre Dame rather handily if they had their starting QB in there. And they will probably meet again in the ACC championship game. And hopefully they'll both be playing at full strength, and we will see who the better team actually is. And I think it's Clemson. Jason, my buddy, how you doing, sir? Gator Zone, I agree. It is a healthy Clemson is better. J-Dub, I think you're wrong, respectively. I think Bama will beat Florida. If they played right now, I think they would beat Florida, but I don't think it would be by more than 10. It might be 10 points, but I don't think it would be more than 10 points. I think Florida has the horsepower to keep that game close, especially if you have a healthy Kyle Pitts. Because as good as your defense is, my friend, you can't match up with Kyle Pitts any better than anybody else can. So I think it might be a 10-point victory for Bama. It might be a 7-point victory. But Bama is not running away with the game. And I think Florida can continue to improve. But if they played right now, I would have to admit that Florida would be a decisive underdog. Let's see. Jason says he's wearing his sub. I guess that means Rolex. Rotation is growing with the ISL 18 and Horizon new edition. Well, Jason, wait until you see. Let's see. I'm looking at my schedule here. Starting Monday, Jason, I'm releasing all my state of the collection videos, all 6 of them. So you'll get an insight as to how deep the sickness is that I have. And then you'll probably not want to be friends with me anymore because you'll be saying, I'm friends with a crazy person. Wait until you see the Zelos segment. That's crazy. Let's see. J-Dub says LSU game postponed due to Wuhan Red Death. Auburn game postponed too. Okay, well, I don't understand though. I thought, post-election the Wuhan Red Death thing would have gone away because there's no longer any political hay to be made with constantly beating that drum. We just treat it like a medical issue now and let it run its course. I guess I was wrong. I guess we're going to keep beating this dead horse of COVID until it bleeds out and rots all over the sidewalk or something. What a great image. Let's see. Big 12 asks another good question. Somebody must have put something into Big 12's Wheaties today or something. 1 loss Pac-12 or 2 loss Big 12 in the college football playoff. That's a tough one for me. I don't think much of the Pac-12. I think they're a useless conference. And I think they're starting too late and not playing enough games to really, I don't think they should qualify, but since they are going to qualify for the CFP, I would put in a 1-loss Pac-12 team just because it's 1 loss and it's going to look better to the committee and to the computers. And I'm sorry to say that, but a 2-loss Big 12 team would be frozen out at that point. Unless the computers tell the committee that the strength of schedule is so overwhelming for the Big 12 team that they have to go in. We'll see. I hope you enjoy them, Jason. I really do. I worked, I don't know if you say I worked hard on them. You work hard on your videos. I just kind of shoot from the hip. But I hope you enjoy them. Let's see. Vodka Drinkers here. How you doing? I don't know the answer to that, Vodka. What's the max number of games needed to be? I think you would mean minimum number of games. I don't know the answer to that. I really don't. I would think the minimum number of games should be 8, but I could be wrong. But in my mind, it should be 8, which would disqualify the Pac-12 completely. I told you, Jason, Zelos is a legit watchmaker. I mean, they make fantastic pieces. I mean, and the Horizon line has become a very successful line for Zelos. I mean, they are a legitimate watch company and customer service that you're not going to find with brands at 10 times the price. I can say that with confidence. Trust me on that. Okay, J-Dub, let me know when you're back in. Let's see. That's true, vodka drinker. We have there are plenty of numbers left in the lexicon of numerics for plenty of Wuhan Red deaths. I mean, they could be 20 through infinity. But it sure did its job, I think. If I was if I was a conspiracy theorist on the level of George, I could say, well, it certainly did its job. It got, it screwed up everything. It wrecked the world and wrecked our economy and it did its job. So, but no, it's just another strain of flu. We're going to have to deal with it like we deal with all strains of flu. Got to come up with vaccines to help prevent it. We got to come up with therapeutics and treatments for when people do get it. We'll never be rid of it. I mean, we're never gotten rid of the Spanish flu from 1918, and we're in 2020. It's still with us 102 years later. So we all here are going to live with beer flu, and we're going to die with beer flu still among the population, and it's going to take out a certain number of people every year, just like the Spanish flu and all its derivatives do, and we're just going to have to find a way to live with it like we find a way to live with everything else. We just have to we'll adapt, and we'll continue on. That's the way I see it. Is Wisconsin still in the college football playoff conversation? What is Wisconsin's record? I don't know. Wait a minute. Let me see if I can find that. Let's see. Hang on. Where is Wisconsin? Wisconsin. They only played one game. That's not good. They're supposed to play Michigan this week, aren't they? Is that game still on? I don't know if they can't make up the games. That's going to be what if they go undefeated, but they only end up playing 6 games? I mean, that's a great question. I don't know the answer to that question. Because I don't know the answer to the question if there are minimum games you have to play to qualify for the college football playoffs. Let's say Ohio State manages to play all their games, maybe loses one game, pardon me, and Wisconsin loses nothing, but they only play 6 games. Would you take an undefeated team that played 6 games or a team that plays 8 or 9 games and loses 1? I don't know. Does anybody know if there's a minimum number of games that have to be played to qualify for the playoffs? I don't know. Hey, that'd be great, Jason. You're gonna manage to get one of the new Sky Raiders after he shoots the photos. Man, I hope that happens for you. I really do. I'm not buying one of the new Sky Raiders that's going to come out in a couple of weeks, but there are some Sky Raiders coming out after the first of the year that are being made with some different materials. I might pick up one of those, but I already have a Sky Raider, so I don't know. I'm up and down on that one. I haven't made my decision yet on that. Vodka drinker. Yeah, there's something to be said for culling of the herd from time to time, but man, you hold that position in public too, and the wrong people get a hold of that, they're gonna go crazy. Wilkie's here. How you doing, sir? How you doing? Gator Zone says if the Pac-12 had one loss champ, Big 12 had two loss champ, one of the following would get the fourth spot: one loss Bama, Texas A&M, Miami, Notre Dame, Wisconsin, Ohio State. Where's Florida? Are you assuming Florida's the SEC champ? Because I like that, yeah. Real quick before I go on, first of all, welcome to everyone here. Don't forget, before you leave or at some point, click that thumbs up button for me. That does help the channel out. I only mentioned it in passing. The super chat function is available down, down in the bottom of the comment window or comment area, and in the description of the video is my PayPal link if you guys feel the desire to contribute to the channel. Most likely contributing to my watch thing, but what can I say? Obviously, you don't have to. I'm glad you're here and having some fun together on what is for me a very soggy and very rainy afternoon with a tropical storm parked off my front doorstep practically. Let's see. Gator Zone says teams that have to win conference championships are Florida and Clemson. Okay, well, if Florida and Clemson win, obviously they're in. Gator Zone also said Wisconsin would have to play 7 games if they go undefeated, 6th season, 1 Big Ten champion. Well, if they ended up with the 7th game and they were the Big Ten champion after that 7th game, I guess they go in. I don't see how you could leave them out. Gator Zone says no requirement for CFP, but Big Ten currently requires 6 games for a conference championship. Okay, well, that clears that up. Big 12 says CMA Florida go with a SEC championship loss, possibly. I don't know. I mean, probably not. Let's say you're sitting there with, you need to fill out the number 4 spot, and you've got, let's say Alabama beats Florida in the SEC title game. That's 2 losses for Florida, but Texas A&M is sitting off to the side with 1 loss, and they beat Florida. They would go in my opinion. It would be the same scenario where Alabama ended up with, not in the SEC. What was that, 17? When Georgia won the SEC title and Auburn had 2 losses and Alabama was sitting there with 1 loss, and they ended up in the championship in the college football playoff. So be the same scenario again. So I guess A&M would go in ahead of Florida because Florida would have 2 losses to A&M's 1, and A&M beat Florida. Right, wrong, or indifferent, wins and losses mean things. At least they're supposed to. So Florida shouldn't get in that scenario. Now, if A&M chokes and loses another game, and they win, and then Florida loses the SEC title game, and they're both two-loss teams. Florida won their division. A&M didn't. I'd put Florida in over A&M anyway. Let's see. Wilkie says he's getting his car service since 7:30. What are they doing to the poor thing? That can't be just an oil change, sir. It's 12:30 now. That's 5 hours. Gator Zone, you're right. Florida would need a lot to happen if they lose the SEC game. Vodka Drinker says, I saw where that guy David Pollock said if Florida wins the SEC championship, A&M should go to the playoffs over Florida. Well, David Pollock is an idiot, and I think he's taken one too many shots to the head. So, and isn't he a former Georgia player? So he automatically hates Florida anyway. So I discount what he has to say automatically. Yeah, David Pollock is a Georgia guy. He's going to say stupid shit like that just because, he's a Georgia guy. Backup lights and drinking coffee. It's a 5-hour repair for backup lights? Jeez, you need to find a better shop, sir. Big 12, BYU is not in the top 6. They shouldn't even be in the top 10. They're never mind what Lou says about BYU. I don't know why he's agitated about a private religious school with their own point of view. I mean, being more libertarian than Lou, I think my attitude is live and let live. If they want to be the way they want to be and be stuck in the 19th century with their attitudes, whether I think that's right or wrong, and I'm not particularly thrilled with their attitudes on things, I don't have the right to say that they should be excluded or included or whatever. It doesn't affect my life. So I don't care about BYU in terms of who they are. All I know is that they play, what are they in the WAC, Western Athletic Conference or something like that, and they play other little schools, and they don't play anyone of any real consequence. It's the same scenario with UCF. UCF plays in a mid-major conference, and they don't play anybody of consequence for most of their seasons. So, no, they don't deserve to be in the college football playoff conversation. They don't really deserve to be in the top 10, in my opinion. And I think now somebody's supposed to come over and repair something on my house, and I think they may have just come to my front door. I don't know. I'm gonna check my front door real quick because I think somebody is here. So if you give me 1 minute, be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Yeah. No, it's there's a delivery truck out in front of my house, but I'm not having anything delivered today that I can recall anyway. I think they mistook my house for my neighbor. But if they knock on the door again, I'll have to go deal with them again. Sorry about that. Where was I here? BYU. BYU is a joke. They're not even worthy of consideration. Vodka Drinker, I would like to see a BYU versus Georgia bowl game just for the pure entertainment value of what Uncle Lou would do for that whole build-up to that game. Can you imagine the hype and hate video for BYU? That thing would last. That video would last a solid hour. I guarantee, solid hour. And it would probably be the funniest video he ever made. And it would probably cause him to be banned by the Utah state legislature from ever setting foot in the state of Utah for the rest of his life, and probably for generations following too. I mean, that would be just pure entertainment platinum. That would be. I would love to see that. I really would. Let's see. Yep. I don't post videos, and I like pizza is here. How you doing? Appreciate you stopping by. Wilkie says, I want Texas A&M to win out. Bama to win out, but lose to Florida in the SEC championship game, and Florida lose. And Florida to lose one before. We already lost one before the SEC championship game. We lost A&M, so I don't know where you're going with that, sir. Warranty work on the car. They don't care how long I sit. No, they don't. Whenever I get work done on one of my cars, basically, unless it's an oil change at the dealership, which I have to do to keep the warranty going on my daily driver, I drop the car off. I immediately go outside, ring up Uber, and go home. And I don't even want to hang out at a car dealership anymore. All it's filled with now are cars that I don't want and salesmen I don't want talking to me. With the Saleen, whenever I get work done on the Saleen, it usually takes multiple days because I'm taking the car to SRQ Performance, formerly S&S Performance, and they usually sit on that car for at least 3 days. So, but they're very thorough. They have a mechanic that works on my car all the time named Kevin. And that man may be as slow as a tortoise in desert heat, but Jesus, that guy is thorough. I mean, he finds stuff that nobody else would find on that car. He knows every inch of that car now. So, and usually when he finds extra little things that are going to be issues, he'll usually fix them at no charge, which is really nice. So I really appreciate SRQ Performance. I really do. Looks like Lou put up a video, says Georgia, Missouri is postponed. Huh. I wonder why. I guess you guys all go watch that video eventually. So will I. Probably right after I finish this. Let's see. Big 12 says, no, I don't think Cincinnati should be in the playoffs either. The playoffs are reserved for the big boys. If these, maybe if they expand this playoff to eight teams. Here's what I would do if they expand it to 8 teams, which I guess they're going to do in about 3 years. Every conference championship, SEC, ACC, Big 12, Big 10, Pac-12, all 5 conference champions get automatic berths. That's kind of obvious. I don't think I'd get too much argument there. The next 3 you give to the next teams down, and maybe you include one of the mid majors, the group of 5 or whatever. Then they can get in, and they'll probably be bitch slapped by some of the bigger schools, and they get knocked right out again. So, but when it goes to 8 teams in the playoffs, then you'll start seeing the Cincinnati's, the SMU's, the BYU's, the Boise's, the Central Floridas. They'll start to get theirs, and maybe one of them will rear up. Like, you remember a few years ago on the basketball side of the world where Florida Gulf Coast University reared up and all of a sudden came out of nowhere, and they make it to either the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8 before they actually got bounced out of the tournament by their big brother, University of Florida. But, every once in a while, one of these mid-majors makes a big run in the basketball tournament, and they get to the Elite 8, and then they go away. Same thing will probably happen when they expand the football playoff to 8 teams. One of them will get past the first round, they get into the second round, and then they'll get kicked out like they should. But that's the way teams like Cincinnati are going to get in. Let's see here. Gators on, that's maybe a good point. Cincinnati would get in over a 2-loss Pac-12 champion, but a 2-loss Pac-12 champion wouldn't get in regardless. There'd have to be a 2-loss Pac-12 champion and a 2-loss Big 12 champion before Cincinnati would get in. Let's see. I saw that Big 12 Georgia game canceled. Is it? No, I don't think Georgia's scared to play Missouri. It's probably got something to do with Wuhan Red Death. Like everything else does. Gator Zone says, I hope Florida does something to honor Franks after the game. No, I will respectfully disagree with you, sir. Felipe LePew dishonored himself to Gator Nation. Just my opinion. He dishonored himself when he was going after his own fan base and criticizing them and shushing them and mocking them, and basically being a jackass to his own fan base because some of the fans were questioning whether or not he should be the quarterback. So I don't think anything should be done to honor Felipe Franks. I hope the Florida defense shows a major improvement and beats the ever-living snot out of him. I'd like to see him limp out of the swamp. Just beat up. Not injured, don't hurt him, don't cheap shot him, but beat on him. Every time you get a chance to tackle him. Every time you get a chance to stick your helmet in his chest, stick your helmet in his chest. You make him know you're there and make him leave the swamp sorry he ever acted like the fool and the jackass that he is. And by the way, win the game, of course. But making Felipe Franks suffer will be plenty of reward for me for watching that game. But that's just me. I don't like Franks. I didn't like him when he was our quarterback. I certainly don't like him now. So you can feel free to disagree with me. I won't upset me. Vodka Drinker says, I got a bad feeling that we have seen the last SEC game played. I think they're getting prepared to shut everything down for good. I hope not. I mean, like I said before, now the election's over. I think they should stop doing these kind of things for the bad optics it gives, and just take it, relax. There's no more political benefit to be gained from making everything look terminally bad because of Wuhan Red Death. Just let him play. Jeez, let him play. Take the precautions and let him play. God bless. Pizza, I'm hoping that the main event will be Thursday at 7:30 like it's supposed to be. The last 2 times, obviously, it hasn't been, and that's because there have been schedule conflicts with Carter and schedule conflicts with Tiger Cat. I was ready to go either way. hopefully Carter will get a hold of me and tell me that it's going to happen on Thursday at 7:30 like it's supposed to, and we'll go from there. But I don't know when it is. It's supposed to be this Thursday at 7:30. Let's see. Neo's here. He retracted a message, but he is here. Texas is winning the Big 12, says Gators Owned. Big 12 wants to know if I like Etlinger or Franks. I got Trask. I don't need either one, so I'm good with that. And Big 12 and Pizza says Felipe Franks sucks, and true words have never been spoken. And Gators On says some Florida fans deserved it. He's talking about Franks' attitude towards them, to be honest, and perhaps that's right. But you know, it is the fans' right to express their opinion, and it's Felipe's right to express his back to them. But a mature quarterback would just go out there and play his way back into the hearts and minds of his critics. A child, which is what he is, does what he does. You know, basically saying, I scored a touchdown, F you, and shut up. You know, no, that's not the way you handle adversity and criticism. You go out there and you prove them wrong, and then you act like you've been there before. You act like you're above it, which is what you're supposed to be as a leader on a football team. You are supposed to be above the pettiness. And what he did was petty. What he did was childish. What he did was wrong. My opinion, of course, my opinion. Perhaps the Florida fans who you know, the more demonstrative were wrong, perhaps not. But there was plenty to criticize. His decision-making is still bad. I mean, you still watch him playing for bacon bits, and he's still got those Franks being Franks moments. Only now he's doing it in red and white instead of orange and blue. So I don't care anymore. You know, he can be Felipe Franks being Franks all he wants in that uniform. It doesn't affect me. When he was wearing orange and blue, it affected me. Because that guy cost us games. I'm convinced of that. He cost us games. Big 12 asks, Mond or From? Trask. Let's see. Oh, yes. Happy veteran. If anyone is in here who is a veteran, of course, happy Veterans Day. And thank you for your service and your sacrifice. As I would say to all veterans, thank you for your service and your sacrifice for keeping this country free so that people like me can do what we do because you did what you did. So God bless and thank you. Let's see. Vodka drinker, that's a good point. Think of all the things that Frank's mom heard about him in the stands. Well, that's part of being a parent, I guess. I mean, I heard plenty of criticism from other people about my kids over the years. Some of it was justified, some of it wasn't. But, you know, people are entitled to their opinion. I happen to think my two daughters are fantastic young ladies, but other people have other opinions. That's okay. Just don't get violent with my children and leave them alone. If you don't like them, leave them alone. Don't engage with them. That makes perfect sense to me. I wouldn't engage with Frank's mom. It's none of my business. I happen to think her son is a clown. Now, am I enough of an asshole? Am I enough of a member of Team Asshole to walk up to Frank's mom and say, your son is an immature, petulant child clown? No. No. I'm not looking to make conflict with him on that level. Will I say in my videos, I think Felipe Franks is a petulant child and a clown? Yes. Hey, Felipe, if you're watching this, you are a petulant child and a clown with just enough talent to carry off some of what you did. But I don't like you, and I'm glad you're not on my team anymore. I'm glad you made a recovery from a horrific injury, and I'm glad you're able to play out your time and eligibility and, qualify for the NFL draft. God bless you. I'm just glad you're not on my team anymore. Thank you for your service. See you. Bye. That's it. I think that's reasonable enough. Let's see. Where are we here? Big 12 asks if I would like an 18 playoff. Yes, I would. More football, the better. I know some people disagree with that, but that's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. Yeah, Gators owned. I can imagine Felipe Franks' dad probably felt like boxing more than a few times sitting up in the stands at the Swamp. Gators own. I'm going to disagree with you just slightly there. If you're over 18, you're a man. You're an adult. And if by 18 years old or 19 or 20, you haven't learned to deal with adversity and criticism and all that and lead your life and take criticism and try and improve because of it, that's on you, sir. That's not on the rest of us. That's on you for being a child at age 20. By age 20, you should be able to conduct yourself as an adult. I am so sick and tired of people saying that the 18, 19, 20, 21, oh, he's just a kid. No, he's not a kid. He's old enough to drink if he's 21. He's old enough to drive. He's old enough to vote. He's old enough to enroll in the military. He's old enough to gamble. He's treated like an adult by the legal system. He can hold a job. He can rent a car. He can do all kinds of adult things. He can open up his own bank accounts, his own checking accounts. He can make investment decisions. If he's 18 years old or above, he's an adult. If he hasn't learned how to act like an adult by 18 years old, that's on him and that's on his parents. That's not on society. That's on him and his family for not teaching him right. That's why I was hard on my daughters when they hit teenhood and the hormones kicked in. That's why I was really, really hard on them to teach them right from wrong and how to make good decisions and how to manage money and how to do all the things that they need to do to be productive people when they grew up. That's why neither one of them are on drugs or drunk or pregnant. I tried to do my job. Felipe Frank's parents needed to do their job to teach him not to be a petulant child when adversity struck. Now, hopefully he'll grow out of it at some point and he'll learn on his own. But if he hasn't learned at this point, that's on his parents. That may be also on his coaches. But at some point, the boy has to grow up. And I'm tired of people saying that 18 plus is still, oh, the poor kid. No, he's not a kid anymore. Not a kid anymore. Again, my opinion. You may think me wrong. You may think me harsh, but you may think. Let's see. Oh, Big 12 is full of questions today. Do I have a list of stadiums? I don't have a list of stadiums per se, but yeah, I would like to go to different college football stadiums and experience different atmospheres. I don't have a list, but yeah, it would be fun. Obviously, I wouldn't be wearing Gator colors to a lot of those stadiums. Pardon me. BVD can belch in his videos. I can belch on mine. Jeff Webster's back. He is going to be shooting K-State at Indiana, at Iowa State. Okay. That's cool. Assuming the game doesn't get canceled. It looks like a whole bunch of games are getting canceled. Okay, Gator Zone, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Let's see. Jeff J-Dub says, yeah, okay. Okay, good, good. Big 12 says I don't know who he is, will be a damn NFL jackass. I assume he's talking about Franks. I mean, Franks will probably get drafted. He'll probably be a backup somewhere, perennial bench rider. It's all he really deserves. But I mean, if Jeff Driscoll got into the NFL and and got to play, then anybody could play. My sister could play. My sister could play for the NFL. She's a communist, just like everybody else. So, that's right. What games am I watching this weekend? Well, whatever's on. I mean, I'll certainly watch Florida game. I'll look at what's on later in the week, and I'll make a decision on what to watch. Also depends on if my daughter drives down from Gainesville. I think she's going to. So if my daughter is around, that may limit me a little bit, but we'll see. Well, I'll certainly be watching some. I was looking forward to watching the Georgia-Missouri game and watching the antics of Uncle Lou, but now that it looks like that game's canceled, I guess I'll have to come up with another plan. Or maybe if there's enough games canceled, maybe I'll spend the morning and afternoon washing the Saleen and putting a couple coats of ceramic on it. I don't know. Got all day to got nowhere to go and all day to get there. So Vandy Dandy asked if I'm going to bid on any Sylvester Stallone watches. No, I'm not. No, little out of my price range, sir. And God knows if it's Sylvester Stallone watch, they're probably going to be fairly gaudy. And I don't really wear gaudy watches. Imagine, I can imagine those are probably rather large watches. Let's see. No, I'm not streaming games. Big 12. I'm not doing that. I don't feel the need to do it, and I don't want to do it, and I'm not set up to do it really. I mean, I got one TV back there, and I can't run that because I'll get copyright struck if I play a game on there because you can clearly see the screen from here. I got another screen here, well, here to my left. Your right, my left. I can put one game on there, and then the other screen has to be dedicated to this. So I'm not set up for that Big 12. So I don't see myself doing that. Certainly not this year. Probably have to dedicate one of the upstairs bedrooms to setting up a large studio, sort of like Uncle Lou-ish kind of YouTube studio thing, only inside my house instead of a separate building, which I couldn't do anyway. And setting up like a whole bunch of TVs and doing it that way. But my channel is 1,700 subs right now. I don't think I'm really big enough to sustain that economically. I got a hell of a lot more things to spend my money on right now. So this whole streaming thing that you keep asking for is highly, highly, highly unlikely to happen. Highly unlikely. And I think Lou is not going to be driving around because he's not going. I don't think he's going to Knoxville. I don't think, even if he is, But y'all will find something to do. I'm not worried about you guys. Big Dog Brett is here. Nothing wrong with your studio, Big Dog Brett. I didn't even mention your studio. There's too much red and black shit all over the wall, but that's just me. I would prefer orange and blue shit all over the wall, but your house, sir. You do you. Let's see. So Jeff Webster is going to be he's going to be doing photojournalism. Looks like he's going to be at the K-State, Iowa State game in 2 weeks. No, 1 week. Nebraska, Iowa game a week after that, and West Virginia, Iowa State a week after that. Well, let's see. So you're going to be all over Iowa in November, December, outdoors. Dress warm, sir. Enjoy yourself. I'll be sitting here in the 70s and 80s, still thinking about an ice cold Coke. I love living in Florida. Even on a day like today where it's constant rain and I got a tropical storm parked off the coast, this is still better than any other place in the world to live in. Vandy Dandy, yes, I do know the Panerai. I'm not a particular fan of the Panerai watch. I think they look a little bit goofy, especially with that cage around the crown and that lift lock system they have, the lever lock system for the waterproofing of the crown setup. I'm not a fan. I also don't like their dials particularly. I don't like I just don't like that watch. They're fine watches to be sure. And if somebody asked me if Panerai was a good watch brand to buy, I would say if you like the aesthetic of the Panerai watch, absolutely go get one because they are fine pieces, finely made. But not for me. No, not for me. It's just for that amount of money, I can think of a half dozen watch brands that I could buy from that appeal to me 10 times more than Panerai. But if you like Panerai, absolutely go get one. They are a fine watchmaker. Just not particularly pretty one. Rob F is here. How you doing? Well, J-Dub, it looks like a lot of games got canceled for this week, and it's just going to get colder as we head towards Thanksgiving and then into December. So I have a feeling that, it's normally cold and flu season anyway in the cold weather. So, it's just going to get worse and worse. I'm wondering how the holiday shopping season is going to be handled with everybody afraid to go to malls and stuff. It's going to be real interesting. Most of my gift buying anyway is going to be gift cards. Hell, I can pick up I'd say about 95% at least of the gift cards that I need to buy. I can buy them at my local grocery store. They got a big old gift card kiosks in most Publix grocery stores. I can buy them all right there. As part of my normal grocery shopping, just throw a couple of gift cards in. My big problem is going to be finding greeting cards for Hanukkah. Usually I have to go to a store for that, and that'll be interesting. I have to get started on that too. Hanukkah starts, I believe, December 10th. So Hanukkah will have started and ended well before Christmas. So my shopping season is compressed this year. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's shorter. Depends. Let's see. Oh, you like the chair, Brett? I bought it on Amazon. It was really I just I knew what I wanted. I just found this chair. I think it was $150. Showed up in a couple of days. I put it together. It's very comfortable. It reclines really far. and it has that automotive aesthetic that I really like. So yeah, very comfortable. I you know I I'm thinking about a pizza. I was actually I was thinking about either Weather Guy, which is silly because I don't care about the weather outside of my state really. And I was thinking of doing, Florida man stories because while the county I live in is not very rednecky, is that even a word? Redneck-ish. We have a county relatively near to me, Pasco County. Very redneck, very Florida man up there. I have a feeling I could probably find lots of stories coming out of Pasco County um, to entertain you all. Of course, there's plenty of that fodder all over the. I mean, I could do plenty of stuff on Georgia man. See, I lived in Kennesaw, Georgia, for most of the time I lived up there, and walking through a Walmart in Kennesaw, Georgia, is a display of human oddities that would make a circus midway blush. I mean, just crazy, crazy stuff. Some of these people, you wonder how they move from place to place. You really do. And in the parking lot, seeing these people get into their cars, you can literally see the suspension on some of these cars and trucks, mostly trucks. You can literally see the suspension move, physically compress when some of these people climb in to their vehicles. It's really kind of funny, actually. So I'll see if Lou wants to do that with me. I think J-Dub would be a good newsreader. I think I would be a good newsreader too, but he probably would want me to do Florida man stuff since I live in Florida. And even though I do not own jorts, I guess I'm a Florida man. Even though I don't talk like this. Jesse J and Chess Hall and Brett are more Florida man than I am with their accents. But they live in Georgia. So they Georgia men. Let's see. Yeah, you're right, Neil. Amazon is going to be very, very busy. Matter of fact, Amazon just opened up a new distribution center in the city just south of where I live, the next city down on the interstate. They opened up a big distro center there to cover this area better than they did. I think it was coming out of all the stuff was coming out of I want to say Davenport, but I think it was Riverview, Florida. But now it's coming out of Venice, Florida. So that's closer for this area. And they're ramping. I'm seeing more and more Amazon trucks every day on the road. And the nice thing about Amazon and their delivery system is they deliver 7 days a week. So that really gives them, advantage Amazon. God, my neck is killing me today. Jesus. I should have taken some Advil earlier. Ballard's here. How you doing? Well, come on, Brett. You know you're a Georgia man. Let's see. I think I've hung around on here long enough by myself. I'm going to drop the link. See if anybody wants to come in and join me for, half hour or so while I'm still doing this, and then I'll get off and go on to something else to start my day. I know I got a text message from my daughter. Should read that real quick. Well, she's telling me what I already know. It's tropical storm now. Yes, it is. Looks like it's gone before the weekend. Keep an eye on it. Okay. I don't think my daughter is particularly happy with doing a tropical storm heading in her direction and not being here. So that, I don't know, she doesn't have to worry about preparing for shit. Let daddy do that. No, nobody wants to come into the StreamYard. Okay, well, I'll just keep going for a little while then. Vandy Dandy, yes, some of the crazier people would have hurricane parties. I've been to one or two, people that lived inland would have them. If you lived in St. Petersburg, which is Pinellas County, Tampa's in Hillsborough County, they're a little more inland. St. Pete is right out there on the Gulf Coast. Tampa is semi-insulated, even though they're on Tampa Bay, which, the waves can be driven up into Tampa Bay. If you're more inland, you're more likely to have a hurricane party and not be quite as stupid as you would normally be. But if you lived on a barrier island, I wouldn't be having a hurricane party. I'd be having a get the hell out of Dodge party. What's up, Mr. Brett?
What's going on, man? How you doing today?
Oh, pretty good. I see you've angled your camera so that we see less of you and more of your stuff.
Well, this camera kind of has an interesting setting on it, and it has a much wider angle for some reason in StreamYard than it does normally. And if I push it down, the way I've got mine set up right now is it's it's still running like 1080p, but it, for whatever reason, throws a really wide shot. So, yeah.
And there's Ballard.
Yeah, we'll see you in Atlanta, Saleen. Congrats on beating those Bulldogs.
Well,
do you still want to fire Grantham?
I thought I've been over this already. It seems like I get this, even though I go over this and over this, I still have to keep going over this. I'm not thrilled with Grantham. I would love to see him replaced eventually, like in the offseason, because I don't think he's a particularly good at what he does. But as I promised TK, and as I promised Chess, although that's a minor consideration comparatively, and as I promised Slim Shady Kane, I would get off the hashtag Fire Grantham if we beat Georgia. Now, I promised three things to those three people. I promised I would make a video. That was mostly Slim Shady wanted me to do that. I made a video. It's on my channel of eating crow, quote unquote. I made the video. I also came on to my live stream immediately after that, or something. I came on to a live stream after that, and I apologized, and I said I would stop, and I would call into Lou After Dark, and I would get on the phone, and I would say I was wrong, and I'm going to ease off on the hashtag Fire Grantham for the time being.
Yeah.
Do I think he's a good defensive coordinator? No. I mean, okay, he's decent at what he does. I think I know there are better.
Just not good enough,
right? And I think
we
should go find a better one. But for the time being, yes, I'm off the hashtag Fire Grantham for the time being. I'm not thrilled that he's still on the sidelines, but, tis what it is.
Yeah.
And no, I don't want Moose Dump as our defensive coordinator. I already said publicly, and I will stand behind it. If he's hired by the University of Florida in any capacity, I immediately become a UCF fan.
Oh, God.
Wow.
You'd go that far.
I would go that far.
If Muschamp were hired on any
Yes.
position
Now,
on the staff?
any position at the university, any position. I don't care if he's teaching driver's ed to grad students. I am no longer a Florida fan as long as he. Well, no, I will say. I say that differently. I will suspend my Florida fandom during his tenure if he ever comes back. Now, I didn't say I would become a Florida State fan.
Uh-oh.
Did I? I wouldn't go that far. I would never go that far. But
I remember.
I'm very comfortable in the fact that Moose Dump will never roam the sidelines at Florida Field again.
I want to know because it was so funny. Bama hasn't lost a game yet, but that Ole Miss game when the defense just looked piss poor, and they were saying get rid of Golding. He's terrible. He can't, coach the defense. And now look at the defense right now. I mean, if I recall that Georgia game, they did shut Georgia out in the second half, and I mean they've just been on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with Lou, though. I think Florida, Mullen called a bad second. Not bad. He didn't call a good second. He called a bad second half. He could have done a lot better. I swear to you. I said this yesterday on the phone with Lou. I'll say it again. I have spent a little bit of time watching some old. Now, there's a YouTube channel called In All Kinds of Weather.
Yeah.
You may or may not have heard of it.
I think I've heard the name.
Okay, they condense down Florida games into just basically they take out all the time in between plays and they take
like
out
snaps only.
Yeah, it's basically a 20-minute highlight reel for both sides. And there were times during those highlight reels, and I saw it again during the Florida-Georgia game, where Mullen seems to be, for want of a better word, uncomfortable with running up the score. The facial expressions, the body language, he's just uncomfortable with running. I remember particularly watching the Florida Vanderbilt game, the highlights from that from last year. I think we won 59-0.
So
something
I got a theory on that.
Oh, well, I mean, I just to complete the thought real quick, I watched from the 40-odd point onward. Every time Florida scored, Mullen just looked like he was embarrassed. I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches. He just looked uncomfortable because he didn't want to beat up on a team that much.
Right.
And now Florida fans were used to Spurrier and Meyer running up and down the field with their offensive, running 50 yards up with regularity, especially Spurrier.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm used to that. I grew up in the Spurrier era. I remember a whole bunch of eras, but particularly Spurrier era. And I'm not embarrassed when Florida gets to run the score up. I mean, it's the defense's job to stop us. It isn't our job to take a foot off the gas. But Mullen just looks embarrassed. I don't get it.
I think one of the big reasons why you see coaches like Dan Mullen, Kirby Smart, you see some of these other coaches around the league, if they're up 2 or 3 scores, they're not interested in trying to run up a score.
Right.
I feel like they don't value the style points, kind of like Dabo does, or maybe the way that Alabama does. But I also think that in doing that, you're leaving starters in probably longer than you should. You're risking injury. And as bad as Georgia's eat up with injury right now, I can tell you I'm not interested in style points. I would like to see a much better showing of the offense, but style points I could care less about because we will through the course of playing a season, it's going to determine, who's going to end up in the SEC championship. And ultimately that's going to determine who's going to go to the college football playoffs. I think one of the big reasons why you see Alabama run the score up is because that is what their fan base is used to. That is the expectation. if Georgia's not hanging a 30-plus point lead on every team they play, nobody really bats an eye. Same thing for Florida. Same thing for a lot of the teams out there. But if you see Alabama go out there and only win by 10 points, people get concerned, like, what the heck's wrong with Alabama? Same thing with Clemson. So I think that both Alabama and Clemson have painted themselves into a corner where they've got to.
They've got to win like 50 points.
People start questioning what's wrong with the team. So I think that as a coach, is it possible for Georgia and Florida and used to Auburn to be able to run the score up 30 or 40 points? Yes, absolutely they could, but they don't, because I think maybe they understand that there's an inherent risk of injuring your starters, and there's also that inherent risk of delivering that expectation to your fans.
Yeah.
Sound thing. You know, I can't argue with that. I gotta say though, if Mullen does that in the Alabama game, I'm assuming we get there. I mean, we still have to win out the games in front of us. You know, nothing taken for granted. I mean, something horrible could happen. But if Mullen does that against Bama, that is not going to play well.
Well,
at least I don't have to say War Eagle again like last year.
Right.
What did he just say?
I don't know, something about War Eagle, but one of the things that I want to point out here, and this is to be fair to both Ballard and Saleen, Georgia picked off Kyle Trask one time and almost got a pick six on him again.
Yeah.
And that was with pretty much a decimated defense. Alabama is not going to have that problem. So if you see, and just trying to be fair to you Florida fans, if you guys step in the arena with Alabama and you think you're going to run up that many scores playing like that, it's not going to happen.
No, I know that. One thing, our running game needs to get a little better. Certainly an improvement over last year, it looks like, but more improvement is needed. And Trask has to make some better decisions. And you got to know that Trask was missing his number one weapon. You know, I mean, if Pitts was in there,
right?
If Pitts was in there, he would have thrown a lot more balls at Pitts' direction, and I think a lot less mistakes. But that one where Kyle Trask basically threw the ball into the defender's gut, and you know, fortunately he had hands of stone and blew it. So we got you know, as I said yesterday, Trask had his Felipe Franks moment in that game. Fortunately, it didn't cost us like it usually did with Franks, but that's another subject.
Mm-hmm.
We were fortunate it didn't cost us, because then the game is a 6-point game, and now it's a whole different thing. And that would have been very ugly. I admit it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but you know, what they, you know, wishes and buts and all, you know, ifs, and you know, it didn't roll out that way. It didn't end up that way. It ended up
first play of the game
not hurting us. So certainly could have. So yeah, but when I saw that, I mean, I think I had the same reaction on that play that I had when Franks threw that interception in the week 0 game against the Hurricanes. And I just screamed in my TV, you know, what are you, well, more than what are you doing, but just, you know, they're fortunate for us, not fortunate for Georgia. What can I say? What's up, Big 12? What are you doing out there?
I've been just playing basketball, and now I'm just thinking about the college football playoff, because it's been shaking up a lot, especially Pac-12 playing 6 games. I mean, Wisconsin probably playing 5.
Sorry.
They're going to cancel another one, probably. I don't even know what's going to happen there.
What did he say?
People in the comments saying I should read the news on the morning show. It would help my career out, I think. Being somewhat of a news anchor, I think.
Well, hey, Brett, I haven't watched Lou's video yet or seen any news because I'm doing this.
Okay.
Why did the Georgia Missouri game get canceled? Is it COVID?
Probably.
Apparently,
They canceled the Bama game too.
There's a handful of players on the Missouri team that have tested positive for the Rona, and it's at a position group where that one particular position group is just eat up with it. And I'm going to assume it's the line group, I would imagine, both offensive and defensive, because that's where you get the most contact. I would assume. I could be wrong. But at whatever position it has left a Missouri unable to fill those roles with other players. So I guess rather than have them forfeit the game, they're going to postpone that particular game. So
sounds like the situation with Florida LSU.
Yep.
We couldn't field a team.
Yeah. I believe the LSU Alabama game is in the same predicament.
Yep.
I think LSU also has the Rona, so they're
So
going
they say.
Yeah. Well,
Bama fans are on Facebook right now just saying like, "Oh, great, Coach O, make excuses. Just admit you don't want to lose. You don't want to."
I think sometimes you have to take off. You have to take off your fan goggles sometimes, and
right.
I feel like that's one of those things that people might joke about, but I don't feel like they could get away with that without absolutely tarnishing their image. So
right.
I would be, if I was a Georgia fan, and I am, and we're facing a team that has it, I'm not gonna push that too far, because I know what the backlash could be. So God forbid somebody gets sick and passes away or whatever. It really puts you in a bad spot.
So that brings up an interesting scenario with respect to LSU. Now, LSU already did not play one game against us, East versus West.
Yeah.
Now they're going to lose, not going to play a second game in the West. And that game could theoretically have repercussions on who goes to Atlanta, maybe. So does that mean that Florida doesn't play LSU and LSU will do the makeup game against Bama?
Yes, that means that LSU will play, if they play a makeup game, it will be to Bama because they're in the same conference. So you can go ahead and throw away the LSU Florida game. That's gone.
That's too bad because it was at Florida too. So that means the next time we play them, we have to play them in Baton Rouge again. Just don't like that. But whatever, it is what it is. Well, I guess that's the way it's going to be. Is it official that the Bama LSU game is canceled?
Oh yeah,
or
that was announced just 2-3 hours ago that they had officially canceled it. And I don't know. I mean, LSU beat Bama last year. Now they lose so much, even though now they're the worst defending champion I have ever seen. And
I don't know. There was an Auburn team that was pretty bad one year after they won the national.
That is true.
Speaking of that, real quick, y'all saw that SEC Shorts video where they put LSU on trial. All the former champions were up there. What really bothered me about that video was they had the 2008 Florida team on there. Now, 2009 Florida team finished with one loss, and that was to Alabama,
right? Yeah.
So 2009 Florida team was pretty stacked and did not have a bad year in 2000. Now, the 2007 Florida team, after the 2006 championship, went where'd they go? 10-3 after the bowl win. No, 9-4. They lost their bowl game. So it would have been better for them to put the 2006 instead of 8. But that's a nitpick, I guess. But 2009 Florida team was very good, except for that one problem.
Yeah.
They finished number 3 in the nation at the end of the thing. Beat the shit out of Cincinnati in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
I remember that game because I happened to be in Sacramento attending my sister's wedding, which was a disaster. And they had a quote unquote sports bar in the hotel, and the guy who was running the place, and remember the Sugar Bowl would have been on at 5 in the afternoon in California.
Like New Year's, right?
Yeah, and it was New Year's Day, and he didn't want to put the game on the big screen. I had to bribe him to put the game on the big screen because at 8:00 the Sacramento Kings were going to play, and he was going to put that game on the big screen. I actually had to bribe him to put and there was nobody in the place. There was literally nobody in the place, except me and a couple of drunks. So,
I've been to some of my wife's family members' houses during football season, and they're fans of other teams. And I made it pretty clear that if I come over, I'll come over. We're invited, cook out, whatever. I'll come over. This house has like 12 TVs in it that we were going to visit. And
nice.
I said, if I come over, I need to be able to watch my game. So I come over. Everybody's having a good time, barbecuing, drinking, whatever, having a good time. And I go downstairs to the basement, and there's like 9 TVs down there. Nobody's down there but me. I'm like, all right, Georgia game's coming on. Turn the game on. I got my appetizers. I got my beverage of choice. And I'm watching the game. Well, some other people start coming downstairs, and they're watching the other game, right? And they want to switch the volume over because you can't listen to the volume on 9 TVs at one time, right?
Right.
And, they're like, we want to watch the Husker game. And I'm like, well, that's fine. I was like, there's 3 TVs upstairs with the Husker game currently on it. Maybe you should watch it up there.
Yeah.
So, we'll just watch it down here. I was like, okay, fine. I was like, but I'm leaving the volume on mine because this is the only TV in the house with my game on it. So I'm going to watch this. Oh, yeah, that's fine. 5 or 10 minutes go by. After I've had a few beverages of choice, I have to go to the restroom. Come back, they've changed the sound over.
Uh-oh.
I said, okay, no problem. I'll go up and flip my sound right back on. I'm not what's that word?
Subtle?
Yeah, I'm not subtle. About as blunt as a spoon.
There you go.
I walked up and I said, well, that's nice. And switched it back. Hey, we were listening to that. I said, I know. I was listening to this before I went to the restroom. You guys waited till I left, took the moment of opportunity, changed channel. Not happy. But if it's a problem for you, go upstairs. Well, there's a little bit of grumbling. Halftime shows up. Go upstairs, reload my plate and my beverage, and come back. They have changed the entire channel.
Oh, no.
I said, okay.
Well,
I'm going to do this one more time, guys. I flipped it over. And I intentionally went back upstairs about 5 minutes later. Still halftime. Come back, they switched it again. I went upstairs, told my wife, I said, well, if you need me, I'll be at the house. She said, where are you going? I said, I'm going home. Watch my game.
I'm watching the dogs.
She said, well, isn't there TVs downstairs? I said, not interested in explaining it. You can tell your family that what I think of them. I'm going home. When they ask where I'm at, you can tell them. So she goes, okay. So we had taken 2 cars over there anyway. So I drive home. I get a phone call from my wife's dad. He's like, where are you at? And I'm like, I'm at home watching the game on my television. What do you want? Well, why did you leave? And I explained it to him. He goes, oh, well, I'll go talk to him. I was like, don't worry. You ever heard that old expression? Slap me once, shame on you. Slap me twice, shame on me. He said, yeah. I said, exactly. I won't be back. My dogs are on. I'm at home. Sorry for you. Sorry for your loss. Have a nice day.
That's fine.
We used to
hang on a minute. Hey, I'll just say hello to Slim Shady. See him in the comments. And Byrick. They snuck in there when I was distracted.
You guys have to
Hey, Slim, I hope you got a chance to see that video I made so that you know I fulfilled my bargain with you. So if you haven't seen it, go see it. It's on my channel. You know where it is. Anyway, what's up?
I was gonna say, like, my grandparents, they live in Alabama now. They used to live in South Carolina. We used to live there. We lived with them for a couple years before we moved to Florida in like 2010. We've been here for like 10 years. But I remember after we moved to Florida, we went up and we would go up and visit for like Christmas and Thanksgiving and everything. And, we just get like 3 TVs in one living room. It's on like Thanksgiving weekend. We got the Iron Bowl on here, some Clemson games, and then my grandparents are Penn State fans. So, but you're like the big TV's the one with the sound. All right. I want to hear no complaints.
Very multicultural household.
Yeah. Family all over.
I'm in my immediate family, I'm really the only college football fan. I mean, my grandfather's my paternal grandfather never went to college. He did it on his own. He did it well. Yeah. My grandpa, my mom's dad, and my dad both went to Harvard. So not a lot of football tradition there, although they both got to see Harvard-Yale games, which is supposedly a great spectacle. I hope to go see one myself. So I'm really the first, and unfortunately my daughters are not college football fans. So this is going to kind of live and die with me, really. And my mom's brother and his sons are Florida State fans. So, well, we don't see them very much anymore. So, but the gate and all my former in-laws were all either Alabama, and this family was split, Alabama, Auburn.
Oh, yeah.
Ironically, I and you probably won't find this to be very surprising, but the ones that were quote unquote smarter, and that's not saying a hell of a lot for that family, trust me, were Auburn fans. All the really dumb ones were Alabama fans.
Of course they were.
But they all ganged up on me, man.
Wow.
Oh, here comes the gator.
Chomp, chomp.
And then I lived in Metro Atlanta for 10 years and was a Gator fan in Metro Atlanta. That was tough.
Yeah. Wow.
So only in the past little while in my life have I been surrounded by college football fans from my school. Mostly alum like me. So.
Yeah,
I never had to fight for the TV for watching college football.
I just remember, I was just mentioning how, visiting my grandparents, years ago and, having, 3 TVs and all that. 2013, we go up for Thanksgiving, and, of course, the Kick 6 happens. Well, we got Auburn fans visiting, too, So it was loud and obnoxious.
Was that really 7 years ago?
It was coming up on 7 years, I think.
It's been that long,
man.
Jesus.
I just remember thinking, I'm like, no, he stepped out. You can't return a field goal. You can't score a touchdown like that. It's just a missed field goal. Call it dead.
Do you all remember the game? It was Miami Duke. And that insanity at the end of the game where where Miami kept lateraling, and they finally scored. Yeah. I happened to be watching that game with a Miami fan. And he was going out of his friggin' mind.
He was like, do it, go, or what are you doing? Because it was kind of one of those games where it's like, oh my God, is it going to happen? Is it going to work?
It worked. But The thing is, I actually slowed the game down for. I showed him a replay later, and I showed him where there were 2 forward passes and 3 illegal blocks, and he said, "Yeah, we stole one." And he said, "Yeah, well, you stole one against Duke, so I wouldn't be too proud of it." But,
Wow.
So since we're on the topic, what is you guys' opinion of the officiating this year?
oh, Jesus Christ, it's horrible. How you doing, Slim?
Don't you dare besmirch the good name of our 8 lateral touchdowns, sir.
What did he say? I can't even hear him.
Well, he told me not to besmirch the never-ending lateral play, whatever I'm sure they have a great nickname for it, but yeah, that was a crazy play. But you got to admit, Slim, you got away with a couple on that one.
I don't know about the forward passes. I do know at one point Mark Walton's knee was down before he lateraled the ball.
There were a lot of illegal blocks in there, or okay, maybe we call them questionable, but it was a hell of a play regardless. It really was. But yeah, the officiating I haven't watched the other conferences, but the officiating in the SEC has been atrocious. I mean, that Auburn Arkansas game alone should have had the entire officiating crew of that game suspended for life. I mean, that was.
You seen that scene in Ghostbusters, right? Where Ghostbusters 2, where he goes, I wish I was back in the 1800s where I could have you all condemned and burned at the stake.
I remember that. That was funny.
That's exactly.
But that was epic levels of stealing that game for Auburn. That was atrocious.
I tell people all the time, I'm not ready to say some of these games are rigged, but after seeing stuff like that, I'm getting closer.
I'm getting closer to the point where when Lou engages in the hyperbole of Saban's check must not have cleared or whatever, it's getting to the point now where I'm thinking it's not hyperbole anymore.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you this one question here, and this should help clarify it for you. I'm waiting for Ballard to come back because I would like for him to answer.
Hey, Slim,
tell me,
are you on the road today?
Tell me. What's that?
I'm on my way through Little Rock at the moment.
Okay, you're not down here though, because it's nasty down here.
No.
Ballard, we're waiting on you, man.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm sorry.
Sunshine and 65 here.
Well, I'm
pouring down rain in the 80s.
I'm in North Georgia. It is sunshine outside, and it is currently 80 degrees here.
Well, I got a tropical storm sitting off my doorstep right now, so it's no fun. Anyway,
that's like a weekly occurrence in Florida.
Yeah, more or less, but we're coming into our dry season, so you might as well go into it with a bang. But what's your question that you want Ballard here for?
Ballard,
what's up?
You're a Bama fan, so we won't hold this.
Oh crap!
How many times this season has Alabama been called for holding?
Gonna be here while counting, aren't I?
When was the last time? How many times last year were they called for holding?
Shoot, I don't know the numbers, but I do notice a lot of holding penalties on Alabama's offense.
You think so?
Think so.
Yep, Slim Shady Canes is right. Go look at the stats and look at how often other teams are called for holding versus how often Alabama is called for holding, and you will find it is absolutely lopsided.
Wow.
Now, I do believe, and a lot of people have said this, you can find a hold on every single play.
That is correct.
That is true. True statement. Now, and that brings up the comparison of how many times do they hold every play, or so how many times are they caught, which
Right.
is comparatively Alabama
See, you
does
can
not.
see that. Like the fans can see it, and the refs don't, or I mean, so
I don't know if they don't see it or they don't call it. I mean, there's two different things there.
Well, I
But-
think what they try and do with that is if it doesn't affect the play, they let it go because you can call it on every play. So, I mean, if the play's going to the left and it happens on the far right side, it's not affecting the play, whatever, let it go.
So
yeah, I
I'm
guess
gonna,
there is some judgment call there, isn't there?
well, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of context here.
Okay.
A lot of people really question why Alabama doesn't get called for defensive holds or for offensive holds. you if you're not an Alabama fan, you really hear it a lot. What year did Coach Saban start at Alabama? What year was that?
07.
07?
07. That's when he was
Okay.
hired.
That's correct. So if you look at the play calling from you can pull the play-by-play data from ESPN API. From 2010 to 2017, there is a little over 1.2 million plays that occurred, during which 82,570 penalties were called. And when you correlate that data, you'll find that roughly Alabama gets called, at least in 2012. Alabama had one holding call every 260 snaps.
Wow.
Every 260 snaps.
There's not even half that many in a game, is there?
Most games go anywhere from 4, depends on the team, but roughly, you can go from 4 to about 8 possessions. If you figure an average drive is about 9 plays, you're getting 2 to 3 snaps of first down. So you're looking somewhere around maybe a total of 80 to 100 snaps a game.
Yeah.
If it's a hurry up offense.
Yeah.
So you're looking at one holding call every 2 to 3 games, but yet holding happens on every snap. We all know it. If you watch football, you can see it.
Yeah.
But the real question is why is Alabama not called for it at the same rate as every other team? Nobody?
If you say that Saban's got the refs in his back pocket, I swear to God.
I didn't say it. You did.
Refs also have their bias as well, because and
Here we go.
Well, they do.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has a bias, whether they admit it or
for
not.
sure.
Every person alive has a bias.
Yeah, I certainly have my biases, and I'm not shy about sharing them either. But
He said, "I'm not."
no, it doesn't. I mean, listen to all those stats. I mean, you threw a lot of numbers at us, but listen to all the stats. It does seem that things are not quite the way they should be. I'm not willing to say that there's a payoff going on or anything like that, but it does seem that Alabama is being given a bit more of the benefit of the doubt than everybody else.
Yeah.
So there is even, this is on tidefans.com. Do they still call holding? This is a thread on tidefans.com.
Shoot.
All right. Well, not a website that I'm going to be exploring myself, but I'm sure they're arrogant enough that they're going to be thinking that, because nobody ever calls a hold on them. So I say, "Oh, do they even call holding anymore? Is that what all the poor people are doing?"
Well, put it
So-
in a little context, Saleen. When Chip Kelly was at Oregon, they would run 100 plays a game.
Right.
You're talking literally every other game, basically, and that kind of offense, a hold being called.
Right.
Let me throw another crazy stat at you. This is from back in 2010. Just to let you know that this has been going on for a while. This was in September of 2010, and this is the title of the article. An Alabama lineman finally draws a holding call. The Crimson Tide's up front guys went 42 quarters before Warmack was flagged for a penalty.
42.
that does seem
Hold
to
on,
be
how
a
many?
bit-
That's about like 10 games, isn't it?
Well, that would be 10 games, and if you had two that had overtimes, I guess you could count those, but that's basically that is 11 or 10 and a half games.
That's
No
about
holding
almost-
calls for an
That's like a whole
entire
season
season.
right there.
Now that does smell fishy, don't
Yeah.
it? I mean, you almost won an entire season before an offensive lineman got flagged for holding.
You know
Or
how
anything.
often? Do you know how often? Now, just in general, how often do you see holding calls? Now it's like every game, right?
Well,
At least one or two, but
This is how you know he's an Alabama fan, because he's not used to seeing them. I see 2 or 3 maybe a game against Georgia. I'm pretty sure Florida's had it called on them quite a few times. I know Miami has.
Oh, yes. A lot.
Yeah, Florida does get nailed for a lot of holding penalties. Yeah,
Because it happens so often in all, because I watch pretty much every football game that comes on, if it's a top 10 team or just a team I like. My daughter, who's a Clemson fan, she'll be watching it and she'll see flag down in the backfield, and before the referees can even tell you what it is, she goes, I can tell you that's a hold just by where the flag's at. This is a 14-year-old girl now. She knows
how
that.
did she become a Clemson fan?
We lived in South Carolina, and she had some friends that were Clemson fans.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I mean, I'm not that guy that's going to be like, oh, you got to be a Georgia fan. No, be a fan of whatever team you want.
Well, that's how I ended up being a Florida fan. It was a lot of my friends in the area were Florida fans, and I was watching Florida games back in the 70s.
There's a I'm still trying to figure out this holding
yeah.
this holding.
Hey, I got a stream scheduled with a special guest, so I gotta get ready for that.
No,
okay.
I'm going to be wrapping up. I actually got to wrap up now because it's almost 2:00, and I gotta skedaddle, as they
Yeah.
say.
Hey Ballard,
So-
I'm gonna send you an email of what a hold looks like, so you can send it to the referees there in Alabama so they know.
Oh, great. BallardSports19@gmail.
There you go. There you go.
That's a sports email right there.
Study it hard though, because Saban's money can't last forever.
A coach that is so loved by the university, they buy his house for him and give it back to him. Yeah, there's no bias going on in Alabama at all, right?
I don't think so.
No, none of that. None of that. Anyway, I am going to wrap. So, Ballard, thanks for stopping by. Good luck on your show later today.
Thanks.
Hey, Saleen, before you kick me off here,
I don't kick you off. I rely on you guys to leave on your own.
I'll leave in a minute then. What's
See you guys.
the best way to get with you offline? got an
It
email?
depends on what you're going to do. You're going to send me a ticking time bomb.
Not at all. I'm not very good with watches.
Ooh. Facebook?
Okay, I'll find you on Facebook.
All right. Yeah, Facebook private messenger is probably the best way.
Okay.
I don't give my email out very often,
That's
if
fine.
at all.
All right, I will. I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for having me on, sir. You guys have a great day.
Thanks, Brett. Always good.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So I'm glad you got to see that video, Slim. So because you were the one that made me promise to make it, so I want to make sure you saw I fulfilled my promise.
Oh yeah, I watched it the day you put it out.
Did you laugh?
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, there you go. Always leave them laughing, right?
There you go. That's the way to do it.
All right. Thanks for stopping by, man. Appreciate it.
All right, boss.
All right. And for the rest of you guys, let's see. Salita came in late. I appreciate his support every time he shows up. I do. I don't post videos and I like pizza. Always appreciate you showing up. Uncle Lou literally popping in as I'm shutting this stream down. I'm sorry, Lou. I gotta go. I mean, I can't stay. Neo and Byrick and Vandy Dandy and Rob F was here. Ballard, of course, was here. Big Dog Brett was here. J Dub was here. I'm surprised he didn't jump into the stream, but I appreciate you all stopping by. And Lou, I always appreciate you stopping by because you are the gold standard we all chase. All right, I'll check my email, and you have a good morning too, sir. Everyone, thank you for hanging out with me for a couple hours. Hope you left a thumbs up on the way out. If you're watching this not live, please click that thumbs up. Feel free to comment below. You know, the usual stuff, and don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon when you do. That definitely helps the channel out. Yeah, let me see here. I gotta click that off. Anyway, thanks y'all for stopping by and hanging out with me for a little while on a Wednesday afternoon. If it doesn't rain so much that my house floats away, I hope to see you guys again real soon. Have a good rest of the day. Stay safe, be well, be healthy, be happy. Have a good morning.